Hello and welcome back to Geek and Seek. I know we're already deep into spoilers and releasing and stuff for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, but I wanted to spend a little bit of time still highlighting the Fallout Universes Beyond. I got this collector booster box. We're going to go ahead and open it today, see what kind of fun stuff we can crack. So let's go ahead and see what kind of spice we can pull out. Before we hop into it though, if you would like to keep seeing Geek and Seek make collector booster box openings, you can support the show by checking out Into the AM. They made the shirt I am wearing right now. Super comfortable, I like it a lot. Most notably, they have a lot of graphic tees, good sales on graphic tees, but they have other cool stuff as well, so make sure you check them out using our affiliate link, which we have linked as the top comment and in the description of this video. So let's go ahead and open up this box, see what we can get. So I've been vocal before that I was pretty meh about the Fallout set. I am not like a huge fan of the games. I put a little bit of time into Fallout 4 and a little bit of time into Fallout New Vegas, but I'm not like a huge fan of the games or anything like that. And then I made a video semi-recently talking about how I thought the setting for Fallout was just a little bit more awkward than I would have expected for Universes Beyond. I felt like it wasn't as like fantasy as I had expected, so that was a little weird. But with that said, there's a lot of really good reprints in the set. What I like about Universes Beyond is when they reprint cards that we already know and love. Oftentimes the new art is really cool, and it's also just nice to get other copies of those stapley kind of cards that you're going to put in a lot of decks anyways, as well as I think a lot of the new cards are actually pretty sweet. So even though I wasn't like excited to necessarily play any of these pre-cons or anything that came with the set, I am excited for several of these cards. So let's go ahead. We got a foil forest. I actually, I kind of like these. I like the ones with the doggo, especially dog meat. Okay, we got a Temple of Enlightenment. I actually still play these in 2-color decks, sometimes 3-color decks. Myriad Landscape, pretty playable in 1, sometimes 2-color decks. Bighorn Rancher, Mana Dork, Sky Cloud Expanse. I will say the Surge foil is really pretty, but I don't particularly, I don't think I ever play those lands really. Okay, we got a Bobblehead. We have a couple guys in our play group who are trying to build Bobblehead decks. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we'll see. Mother Lode Excavator. Gonna put this in my energy deck. I will say that I wasn't super excited about the new energy deck because it was very artifact focused and my energy deck is not very artifact focused, but this card is pretty sweet, so there's a good chance it's gonna make the cut there. Fraying Sanity, it's a pretty good card. I tried playing a Fraying Sanity deck back in Standard. I think it's from Hour of Devastation if I remember right. Duchess. Exotic Orchard. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, that art's really pretty. Exotic Orchard, kind of a worthless card, but it goes in just so many decks. You're always happy to have more in your collection. Paladin Elizabeth. This card's actually kind of bonkers. I was actually very impressed with a lot of the more aggro cards from the set. I like that Wizards has incentivized more combat-oriented strategies. Jason Bright, fun little zombie card. Might add this to my zombie deck, not sure. I don't think it's actually going to trigger all that often, but we'll see. We were joking that, you know, we have a guy named Jason, we have a guy named Preston, and, you know, if we keep getting this, we'll have to have a game of upkeep of our Commander gameplay series where everyone plays a card named after them. Okay, this is a Hullbreaker Horror with the new art. It's kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about these. I think they're a little awkward. Ooh, Secure-Tron Squadron. Very fun. I really like the squad mechanic. And then a foil Radiation. All right, cool. So I guess I'm not 100% sure what our best pulls are really going to be. I know the bobbleheads go for a couple bucks just because people want to try pulling off that win. And then I guess they have serialized cards in this set if I remember right. So I guess those are our main things we're looking for. Master Transcendent. This card is actually pretty sweet. I like a lot of the cards from this deck. I don't know if any of them are actually going to make like the cut in my Muldrotha deck or Graveyard deck, but it'd be cool if they did. Codsworth seems really good in Aura or Equipment decks. Again, I really like the Surge foiling. I know these curl pretty bad, but they're pretty. Like that we got some new sagas. Always a fan of sagas. Tato Farmer also seems like a pretty good card in Graveyard deck, so excited to give that one a try. Prairie Stream, still very playable in 2-color decks, and sometimes other decks if it's on a budget. Heroic Intervention, there we go. Now this art I actually don't necessarily love, but Heroic Intervention, it's just a stapley card. It's like the most played green card that's not a ramp spell. All right, it is interesting that they decided to finish this cycle of lands, but again, I don't really ever play them, so I don't know. I'll probably keep one in my collection just so I have it in case, but I don't know. Oh, Keeper of the Accord, always happy to have more of those. Sky Cloud Expanse, Vandal Blast, Nuka-Cola vending machine, okay. And then we got a treasure token with a zombie mutant on the back. I do think that this card's actually going for quite a bit. It's kind of insane. It's a very good value engine, especially if you're just going to be sacrificing foods, but I feel like it's probably good in a lot of artifact decks just in general because it's self-fueling, especially because this is a foil of the alternate art. That might actually be worth a little bit of something. Before we get too far into it, let's set aside some of the cards we think might be our top pulls. Is Keeper of the Accord still worth anything? Probably not. I think it's been reprinted a couple times. All right, on to pack 3. And most of the time with these collector boosters, that we've opened a couple of these on the channel now, I usually just keep the cards I know I want, and then all the playable cards I usually just leave for my play group to play. But if we do end up with a serialized card, we might need to sell that off. Strong, the British Thespian. Preston's actually building this deck right now, so he might like to pick up that foil, so we'll set that aside for him. Luck Bobblehead. Okay, this is the one that's trying to win the game. One of the newer episodes of Commander Clash, Seth was trying to pull that off. I don't remember what the math is on it, but it's very unlikely. It's very hard to do. Would have been cool to see it actually work. Brass Knuckle seems okay. It's a little overcosted for double strike effect, but it is kind of neat that if you're trying to maybe go wide. Ash Barons, some other cards. There's Borderless Rex, Fervent Charge, very good in aggro strategies. If Tommy doesn't already have this in his Ishin deck, we need to make sure he gets that. Oh, Struggle for Project Purity. I kind of like this. I think I'm going to end up putting it in my group hug deck. Not sure, because it's, you know, you're helping out everyone at the table, but you're really getting yourself a lot of cards. So that actually seems pretty good. And then we got just some stuff. Okay, Morbid Opportunist. I don't think it's not an expensive card as far as I know, but it is a very good card. Wise Mothman. This card's kind of insane. I don't know if it's worth much. We'll set it off to the side. It's probably worth checking. All right, and then we just got a token. All right, on to the next pack. All righty, let's see. Here's an island. Heroic Intervention. Got another Surge foil, so that's worth setting aside. Rootbound Crag, again, always happy to see these get reprinted. I'm glad that those are kind of budget nowadays, because I think they're very, very playable. Oh, Yes Man Personal Securitron. This is another card I'm maybe going to put in my group hug deck, just because you can pass around the table, it's going to draw people cards, but unlike Humble Defector, which I think is what this most similarly relates to, this is actually, when it leaves, you're actually going to get something in return, so that's actually pretty exciting. Tireless Tracker, always happy to have an extra one of those in my collection. And again, if I'm pulling anything of significant value here, Lord of the Undead, actually I think that's probably worth a little bit. We'll leave that off to the side. If I'm getting it, leave a comment if I'm pulling anything of value and I just don't realize it's valuable. It would have been smart for me ahead of time to be like, look at the set and figure out what the heavy hitters are, but I did not do that because I'm silly. Clifftop Retreat. Again, I really like these lands. House of Gambit, Vault 21. I actually think this is one of the better sagas in the set. Excited to try it out in maybe a deck or two. Isolated Chapel. There's another foil Strong. This one's borderless though, so we'll set that aside for make sure Preston can get his hands on that. It seems like it's really going to be a strong deck. He sent me his deck list that he's been working on, and it seems like it's going to be pretty strong. Ooh, Crucible of Worlds. Now that's a pretty good pull right there. So we'll set that aside. All right, and then here's a foil alt art for Dr. Madison Lee. We're gonna set that aside too. I actually do have the pre-con for that deck. I was gonna go ahead and take it out for a spin just to see how it compared to my energy deck I already had, but maybe I'll just go ahead and switch out that commander because I actually kind of like that. All right, on to the next pack. Swamp. Squads, again, very fun mechanic. I like that this actually, you know, has some utility. It's not just going wide. You're actually going to get to blow some stuff up, so that's pretty nice. Liberty Prime. Again, if my energy deck was more artifact based, this would just be such a sweet card, but it's just not. Talisman of Resilience. I don't really play the green based signets or talisman, but it's nice to have them around just in case. If you ever go the artifact route with those, you're going to be happy you had them. Chaos Warp. Again, just nice to have these stapley cards, even if they're not really worth anything. Cage Brawler, really impressed with this card. We did a live stream playing these precons, and Jason got to get quite a bit of value off of this card, so very happy with it. Bloodforged Battle Axe, Elder Arthur Maxon. This seems pretty good. It gives your token creatures training, so if you're just trying to go wide with some tokens, it's probably a pretty good card. Cinder Glade, Wayfarer's Bauble, Wasteland. Hey, how about that? You guys haven't seen it on the channel, but I have a land destruction deck, so probably going to go in there. And then we got a Surge foil of the Alt Art Nuka-Cola vending machine. That actually is probably worth quite a bit. We'll set that off to the side. An energy reserve token. The settlement on the back. All right, so I think we're halfway through the box. Man, it would be cool to get a serialized card. Get some monies off of that. Bastion of Remembrance. Really like this card, especially if you're sacrificing a lot of stuff or you're just going to have stuff die. Rancor. I've been thinking about rebuilding a vehicle deck, and this one actually seems kind of decent, so it might end up in there. Struggle for Project Purity again. Arcade, pretty good looter. Drowned Catacomb, again, just happy to have these lands. Ooh, there's a foil borderless Tato Farmer. I like that. Ooh, Spire of Industry. Again, this is a card that's not really worth anything, but, you know, if it goes in most artifact decks, it's pretty good. Heroic Intervention again, we'll set that aside. Oh, Radstorm, there we go. I like that it's just 2 simple words, and that's it. That's the whole card. I like that we've pulled 3 of these Heroic Interventions because, you know, it's one of those cards that needs to be reprinted a lot. I wonder if it's still holding on to value, though. I wonder if it's even worth setting those aside because, I mean, we've already pulled 3, and we're not the only people doing this, so surely it's going down quite a bit. Ooh, Inventory Management. Very cool, exciting card. We're going to set that aside. I think it's worth something. There's a Surge Foil Skull Clamp. That also might be worth something. Set that aside as well. Skull Clamp is, again, one of those cards that it gets reprinted and then just goes up in value. So it's worth having a couple just in case. Selling the ones you don't need. Strongback. There we go. Surge Foil Borderless. That's worth quite a bit. This card's actually kind of insane. If you're doing like a go tall, Voltron-y kind of deck, this seems absolutely insane. We're going to set that aside. I think it's worth something. Ruinous Ultimatum. I don't know if that's worth anything. We'll set it aside just in case. But I think if you're playing these colors, it's an auto-include board wipe. We had a board wipe episode of our podcast, and Preston tried to argue that it's not. No, there's a Arcane Signet. That's pretty neat. Preston tried to argue that Ruinous Ultimatum is not an auto-include if you're in those colors. I think his argument was that it's just hard to cast, and if you really need to get rid of everything, just play Farewell or something. But Jason and I were like, well, yeah, but if you just spend the 1 more mana and you have a good mana base, you'll get there. You get to keep your stuff. It seems worth it. All right, Dragon Skull Summit. This card actually seems terrible. I don't know why everything's a legendary anymore. Like, I know that, like, you know, this is specifically a video game. They want to represent a lot of the characters from the games, but still, nothing about this card seems legendary. Mystic Forge, very good in heavy artifact decks. Assembly Line. Lethal Scheme. Wild Wasteland. Hey, there we go. This is one of the few cards I'm going to be playing. I'm not going to spoil the theme, but on our Commander gameplay series pretty soon, I'm playing my Prosper deck. This was one of the new cards I was wanting for it for upgrades, so that is pretty exciting. All right, Temple of Malady. Arcade Ganon. Basilisk Collar. Frickin' love this. I like that this one has a doggo. I have this in my Voltron Kozilek deck. I might switch this one out for it just because this one has a dog and doesn't get much better than a dog. Abundant Growth, pretty good. Vats, Watchful Radiation, and a Junk Token. All right, we only have 3 packs to go, and so far, no serialized cards. I know serialized cards are very, very rare, but it feels like we should pull one at some point. This is like the 3rd collector box that we've opened or something like that on the channel. Feels like we should have eventually find one. Firestriker I still think is the best way to give double strike. I know we had that other one that we were looking at a little bit ago, but I think Firestriker is still probably the best way to do it. Swords of Plowshare. Again, not really worth anything, but you're always happy to have a couple in your collection just because it's so, you know, auto-include-y. Steel Overseer. Austere Command. This is maybe my favorite board wipe. It's at least up there for me, so always happy to have a couple more of these in my collection. Again, they're only like $1 or something, but you know, every time I have an extra one in my collection, it ends up disappearing because it gets thrown into a deck, so always happy to have more of those. Cathedral Acolyte seems pretty sweet. There's a Hornet Queen. It's kind of fun. All right, 2 more to go. All right, what do you guys think of these full arts? I do like that the precons actually already came with the full arts because it's one of those things that if you're going to keep this deck together, you want to keep the Fallout theme. You're just going to want the full arts anyways since they exist. So it's kind of nice that the precons just automatically came with them. It does kind of make opening them in packs feel kind of dumb though. All right, Intelligence Bobbleheads. This is probably tied for the best one just because it draws cards, so we'll set that off to the side. Yeah, not really sure if they're worth anything, but we'll see. Red Death, Shipwrecker. I just like Goad, man. I have a Goad deck that Tommy played on the show. He borrowed from me a couple episodes ago on the show, and I'm probably going to add this to the deck. It seems pretty fun. Temple of Plenty. Here's a foil one. Okay, there we go. I'll add the foil one. Isolated Chapel, Soldier and Dominant, Scavenger Grounds. I actually really like this card. Cinderglade, Arcane Signet, Wasteland, and Radiation. All right, last pack. Can we get anything super spicy? All right, Forest, Strongback. Hey, that's actually a pretty good pull. There we go. Set that off to the side. Temple, Scattered Grove, Sentinel Sarah, Lions. This is another one of those aggro cards from the set that I was pretty impressed with. Glad that they've incentivized more attacking. Farseek, Paladin Elizabeth, Mystic Forge. Is Mystic Forge worth anything? I feel like it's probably not. Keeper of the Accord, Codsworth, Exonerable Tide. Whenever you cast a spell, proliferate. Hey, that's kind of neat. Actually, I think that's actually probably worth something, because I think this is the first actual reprint it's got of it. I might be wrong. Junk Jet, Atomize, Nuclear Fallout, and that's it. Alrighty. Well, overall, not the most impressive box, but we got some stuff. I think Exonerable Tide is worth a little bit. Strongback's worth something. Wasteland's worth something. I think really just these alternate treatments, I think they're in general worth a little bit. Bobbleheads are worth a couple bucks. Skull Clamp's worth a little bit. Inventory Management, pretty sure it's worth a little bit. I think we pulled 3 of these Heroic Interventions. Nuka-Cola Vending Machine we ended up with a couple of. Crucible of Worlds. So we got a little bit of good stuff. But yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks again to Into the AM for supporting the show. If you would like to support us as well, check out our affiliate link where you can check out Into the AM, pick up some of their stuff. By doing that, you're also directly supporting the show. And then make sure you're subscribed, hit like, all that good stuff. Check out some of our other videos to support us as well. We'll see you guys next time.